Hello, this is a short video about the uses of the genitive case in Greek. Now, I usually prefer to teach the formation of a type in the language together with the way we use it. Yeah, so I would like ideally to also show you today how to form the genitive. However, this is a complex issue of its own and it would take a lot of time, so I prefer to focus for now only on the uses. Yeah, and just to be clear, I want to say genitive case for those of you who come from languages that don't have cases. Basically, you add a different ending to a word. So let's say το παιδί becomes to παιδιού. Yeah, and maybe it will become clearer because I want to focus on the sound, not on the way you write it, but on the sound. I want you to understand the sound is different. So listen this here. So το παιδί, maybe here is better written, to παιδιού. Yeah. Here I really changed the way I pronounce this D as well. Παιδί, παιδιού. It's not the same. So this difference in the way I pronounce the word indicates the word has a different position in the phrase. This is what I want you to understand. Okay, this is what cases are for. They tell you something about the grammatical position of the word in the phrase. Okay. Now, there are many uses for the genitive case in modern Greek, but I think three are the most important. The first is as an indirect object. Yeah, so for example, δίνω το βιβλίο του Γιάννη, δίνω το δώρο της Μαρίας. If I want to translate the first phrase in English, I would say something like I give the book to John. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit unnatural. I would rather say I give John the book. Yeah, but just to be perfectly clear about the position of it, I prefer this first word for word, let's say, translation. I give the book to John. Yeah, so the direct object is the book, is the thing that I give. What do I give? The book. And to whom do I give the book? To John. Okay. Usually, not always the direct object is an object, like a book, a car, a house, whatever. Yeah, and the indirect object very often, not always, again, I stress that, is a person. Yeah. Now, the second phrase, I give the gift to Mary. Yeah. So this is the first case. I'll get back to these phrases in a minute, yeah, because I want to make one more comment after I discuss the second use of the genitive in Greek, namely possession. So the car of John or John's car, το αμάξι του Γιάννη. Both of these things, like off in English and this S in English, in Greek will become a genitive. Yeah, also street names as squares, like all street names you know, Πανεπιστημίου, Σταδίου, Βουκουρεστίου, are in the genitive. Okay, it's because originally it was η οδός Σταδίου, η οδός Πανεπιστημίου, η οδός Βουκουρεστίου. Now, if you are paying attention, this first phrase, maybe in written speech, could be a bit ambiguous. Usually it's not. Okay, most of the time people can communicate perfectly well using the genitive as an indirect object. But sometimes it could, because it could mean I give the book to John, or I give John the book, or it could also mean I give this phrase here. Yeah, I'm writing about this phrase here. I give John's book, yeah, to somebody else. Okay, it could be the case that I mean that. This is usually clear from context, and however, there are some cases where you really need to specify. You know, if I give the book of if I give John's book to Mary, yeah. Now, if I want to say this thing in Greek, it's impossible to use two genitives. Well, it is possible, but most people wouldn't do it. It would be something like Δίνω το βιβλίο του Γιάννη της Μαρίας. You could say that, but it's kind of it sounds confusing. So in this case, we have another way to express the indirect object. Okay, but I will not do this right now. This is just to answer a very logical question that could emerge. You know, if it can be both indirect object and possession, how do I distinguish? And the answer is from context. It's usually clear from context if I'm giving something to somebody or I'm talking about possession. Now the third thing you could have is if you replace well, this is a bit complicated, but let me read it as it is written. If you replace a verb and object with a noun and an object, now it's not really an object, that's why I have it in quotation mark. This object will now go, instead of the accusative, it will go in the genitive. So this is also more formal. So μαθαίνω ελληνικά will become μάθημα ελληνικών. Yeah. Another thing, let's say ποτίζω τον κήπο means I water my garden. But if I'm talking about the action without a verb and I use a noun, το πότισμα του κήπου. This is what I will say instead. Yeah. Now this takes some time to get used to, but I want to do it together with the other two uses because you will come across it, especially in formal language and when you read manuals and stuff like that. It pops up a lot in written speech. And in this case, it's not really possessive anymore. It's not about possession. Possession is not anymore about possession. It's not an indirect object. It is what would be the direct object of the verb if you had a verb, but now you have a noun. Yeah. So to ποτίζω τον κήπο, I turn ποτίζω, the verb, into a noun, and then I cannot say το πότισμα τον κήπο. I cannot mix the ingredients of these two phrases I have here. I will have to use the genitive and say το πότισμα κήπο. And that's it. These are the three main uses of the genitive in Greek.